Welcome back. Tonight, we are going deep, I mean really deep, into one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, mysterious moments in the entire mystical tradition. We're talking about Jacob's trial by midnight. And I'll tell you right now, this was not just some random wrestling match. This was a foundational act, an event that literally reshaped reality itself. This is the story of how a man confronted a shadow and became the very pillar holding our world together. All right, let's jump in.
So the Zohar, which is our guide for this entire journey, kicks things off with these absolutely critical words. Jacob descended to him. Now, you have to catch the nuance here. This isn't passive, it's an action. Jacob was not ambushed in the dark. He wasn't some poor victim who got attacked out of nowhere. No. The text is making it crystal clear that Jacob, the living embodiment of a holy principle, deliberately, intentionally went down. He crossed a spiritual border into a lower, more chaotic place to start this confrontation. This was a mission, you see, a necessary descent into the very heart of raw, uncorrected power. Okay, so let's really set the scene. I want you to picture a border, but not one you'd find on a map. This is a border of consciousness itself. It's the crossing point between the holy and the profane, between perfect order and raw chaos. And it's the dead of night. You know, that time when the veil between worlds feels paper thin. Right there, in that in-between space, two immense forces meet. And there's no sound of clashing swords. It's a silent, cosmic pressure cooker that literally bends reality around them. You have Jacob, a man, holding his ground against a being of pure, untamed power. The struggle is absolute, a test of spiritual stamina pushed to its very limit. And it goes on, all night, until that first sliver of dawn breaks the horizon, the moment that always signals a new beginning. So to really get what happened that night, we've got to peel this back like an onion, layer by layer. We're going to start with the confrontation itself. Then we'll unlock the secret, the sod level, to see the actual cosmic blueprint behind the story. We'll look at this through a pretty cool modern analogy of cosmic engineering and also through a classic hero's trial, which is a lot of fun. From there, we'll see the mind-blowing result, how Israel emerges as the central pillar of all reality. And finally, we'll zoom in on the inner alchemy of this change, what we call the harmony of red and white. Let's get started. Right, so as the Zohar says, Jacob descended. He was on his way back home, back to the land of his fathers. But before he could fully re-enter that zone of holiness, there was this loose end, a powerful, raw, untamed force hanging out right at the border. Now, the sages identify this force as the spiritual guardian of his brother Esau, the archangel Samael. And he represents pure, unmitigated judgment, what we call din, which is basically power without any of the balance of mercy. So Jacob's mission, as the guy who's destined to become the pillar of the world, was to engage this force head-on. He had to go into its turf, to face it, to test its power against his own, and to perform a kind of spiritual repair job that could only happen right there, on that exact boundary. This is the key, okay? If you get one thing from this, get this. We have to completely reframe this event. This is not a story about a good guy getting mugged. It's the story of a cosmic agent on a critical mission. The goal was never to destroy this powerful force of judgment. I mean, you can't just delete a fundamental aspect of reality, right? The goal was to engage it, to withstand its full crushing pressure, and by doing that, to integrate it, to sweeten it, to take its raw, incredible strength and bring it into a harmonious relationship with holiness. This was Jacob's final exam. This was the test he had to pass before he could become Israel. All right, now it's time to go from the surface story to the blueprint. We're moving from the Peshat to the Sod, the deep, secret level of meaning. In Kabbalah, you have to understand that the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, aren't just guys from history books. They're archetypes. They are the physical containers for the Sephirot, the divine energies that make up the very fabric of reality. So to understand this wrestling match, we have to ask, who was really in the ring that night?
Jacob, he is the Sephirah of Tiferet. And Tiferet literally means beauty or harmony. So why that word? Because Tiferet sits in the absolute dead center of the tree of life. You've got Chesed on the right, that's boundless love and mercy, represented by Abraham. Then you have Gevurah on the left, that's strict judgment and discipline, represented by Isaac. Tiferet's entire job, its whole purpose, is to take in those two polar opposite energies and blend them into a perfect, beautiful, harmonious balance. It's also called truth, because think about it. Truth is almost never in the extremes, right? It's always found in that balanced synthesis in the middle. Jacob's whole life is a journey to find this balance. And this midnight battle, this is his final exam.
Now this is what's so cool. Look at how perfectly the physical story mirrors the deep metaphysical reality. On the surface, the pshat, you've got Jacob the man wrestling some mysterious angel-like figure by a river. Simple enough. But underneath, on the sod level, you have Tiferet, the principle of harmony itself, confronting the Sitra Akra, which literally means the other side, the whole dimension of raw, unmitigated judgment. The Jabbok River isn't just a body of water, it's the cosmic boundary line. And the result? It's not just getting a new name in a limp. The new name, Israel, is really a new cosmic job description. And that limp? That's the price you pay, the permanent mark of integrating such a massive and volatile power into your very being.
So to make this even more concrete, let's use an analogy that speaks to our modern technical minds. I want you to think of the entire structure of holiness as a kind of complex, divine operating system. Jacob, as Tiferet, is the central processing unit, the CPU, and his whole job is to maintain system stability and harmony. So this whole midnight encounter was, for all intents and purposes, a live fire stress test and a real-time system upgrade.
Let's just walk through the system log. Step 1, hostile intrusion detected. A massive data packet of pure, unrectified judgmental energy, Samael, hits the core processor, trying to cause a total system crash. Step 2, system stress test initiated. All night long, Jacob's core architecture, Tiferet, is pushed to 100% capacity and beyond. It bends, it takes damage, that's the limp, but it does not break. There is no critical failure. Step 3, real-time rectification. Now this is the amazing part. While it's under attack, the system isn't just defending, it's analyzing the hostile code. It absorbs the raw power of judgment, neutralizes its destructive potential by mixing it with mercy, and essentially sweetens it. It turns a bug into a feature. And finally, step 4, architecture upgraded. Having successfully integrated this powerful new subroutine, the system reboots. The old identifier, Jacob, is now deprecated. The new, more powerful, fully integrated system is now online. Welcome to Israel, version 2.0.
Okay, now for the kids, or let's be real, for the kid in all of us, let's look at this in a different way. This is the ultimate video game boss battle. Jacob has spent his entire life, the whole game, leveling up, grinding for experience points, balancing his character stats. He's beaten many bosses like Laban and Esau, and now he's at the final stage, right before he can enter the promised land level. But to get through the door, he's got to face the secret, super powerful final boss.
And just look at what happens to his stats after the fight. This shows the trade-off perfectly. Okay, yeah, his physicality stat takes a little hit, he's wounded, he's got a permanent limp. That's real damage. But look at his spirit bar. It doesn't just go up a little, it goes through the roof. It skyrockets. By surviving this encounter, and notice it's not about winning in the usual sense, but about enduring, he absorbs the very essence of this immense power. His spiritual capacity, his power level, his ability to channel divine energy, it's all magnified exponentially. And what happens when you beat that final boss and your stats go absolutely nuclear? You level up. But this isn't just going from level 98 to 99. No way. This is a full-on evolution, a class change. He's no longer just Jacob, the heel grabber, the guy who survives by following. He becomes Israel, one who strives with the divine. It's a fundamental shift in his very being. He's now got a direct, high-speed, fiber-optic connection to the divine, a whole new set of abilities, and a brand new role in the cosmic game. He has been forged into a totally new kind of hero. So what does this level up actually mean in the real world? What is this new role he's unlocked? This was never just about personal power for him. It was about a new function for the entire cosmos. By successfully integrating the absolute extremes of mercy and judgment, Jacob, now as Israel, becomes the central stabilizing axis for the entire cosmic structure. He is now, quite literally, the load-bearing wall for all of creation. In the mystical descriptions of the ancient tabernacle, there was this one special piece of wood. It was called the Beria Katichon, the central bar, and it ran horizontally straight through the center of all the vertical wooden planks, locking them all together, holding the whole building together as one solid structure. Well, that is the new function of Israel. He is that singular, one-of-a-kind central bar. He's the one axis point that everything else revolves around and finds its stability in. He is the force that connects all other forces and lets them work together as a unified whole. And look at how this all builds out. That one central pillar now connects the 6 main directions of spiritual reality. You can think of these as the X, Y, and Z axes of creation. By unifying south and north, east and west, up and down, he creates a stable, three-dimensional spiritual space. He's the linchpin that makes the entire 10 Sephirot system click together and actually work. Okay, now let's go even deeper. We've talked about the external job description, his cosmic function, but what actually changed on the inside of Jacob? The mystical texts, especially from the Pardes Ramonim, they use the language of color to describe the inner alchemical state of these divine energies. And the transformation of Jacob into Israel is really the story of integrating the color red into the color white.
So red, or Adam in Hebrew, is the color of pure gevurah, of din, which means judgment. It's the color of fire, of blood, of raw power that has no nuance and no mercy. It's the untempered force that creates boundaries, that defines things, that separates one thing from another. This is the energy of Esau, who is even called Adam, and it's the very energy of the force Jacob had to face. Its strength in its most primal, most severe, and, its most absolutely necessary form.
On the other side, you have white, or lavan. This is the color of pure chesed, of rachamim, or mercy. It represents pure, unconditional giving, like the white of a mother's milk. It's the color of peace, of boundless kindness, of infinite expansion. This is the spiritual inheritance from his grandfather, Abraham. But here's the catch. On its own, pure white is just goodness without any structure. Its endless giving can actually overwhelm and dissolve all form. It needs a container to give it shape. And this isn't just us waxing poetic about colors. The source texts are incredibly explicit about this. The Pardes Ramonim states it plainly. The Gevurah which triumphs in war, it is fitting to relate to it the color red, for its way is to spill red blood. Therefore, to the place of strong judgment we attribute redness. The connection couldn't be more direct. Red is the archetypical color of untempered power and severity.
So here is the grand conclusion of this whole process. The ultimate, most perfect state is not pure white. The goal was never for Jacob to wipe out the red. It was to perform what the Kabbalah is called mataha dinim, the sweetening of the judgments. The state of being called Israel is where the ferocity and power of red is perfectly integrated within the compassion of white. Think of it like this. The boundary-setting power of red gives structure and purpose to the boundless love of white. It creates what you might call merciful justice, or disciplined love. It's the awesome power of judgment being guided by the gentle hand of mercy. That is the inner harmony, the Tiferet, the beauty, that is the very essence of Israel.
And this really brings us to the final and maybe most important takeaway for all of us. This ancient cosmic story, it's also a blueprint for our own lives. We all face our own midnight struggles, right? Our own encounters with forces that feel totally overwhelming. Forces of judgment, of severity, whether they come from inside ourselves or from the outside world. So the question I really want to leave you with is this. If the ultimate state of being is this beautiful harmony of opposing forces, then what struggle in your own life right now is not actually an obstacle, but an invitation to engage with it, to endure it, and to integrate that challenging energy, to upgrade your own inner architecture and emerge stronger, more balanced, and more whole than you ever were before.
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.